Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanandi. On our way over here, we passed a lot of churches. And this is church service time, Sunday morning. So I was thinking, we get the opportunity not only going to church, but going to Vrindavan. There was a question raised a while ago during one class, the inconceivable, seemingly somehow exaggerated numbers of 10 quadrillion bodyguards of Ugrasena. You know that? I forget somebody. In response to that, you do the math, and it's something like the population of the world today times 100 is the number of the population of Ugrasena's bodyguards. Something like that. Population of the world today, the world population. I mean, big cities, big population. China, gosh. Singapore, gosh. 100 times the population of the world today. That's how many bodyguards in the city of Dwarka. Harumph. Fiction, flags all over the place. How to understand that it's not fiction? So, Vrindavan Dham and Dwarka Dham. I asked your brother this question. He gave an answer. I've edited it a little bit because his answer was conversational. And it was, then he said, do you have anything else? So I sent him to something else, and that's a Bindu magazine article that was co-composed by Hari Parshad Prabhu and Madhavananda. Bindu magazine, you've heard that thing? Bindu magazine? You've heard of it. Tell her about it. She hasn't heard about it. It's nice. Madhavananda is a disciple of Gaur Govinda Maharaj. He lives in Bhubaneswara. At least he lived for a long time in Bhubaneswara. And he picks really like unusual topics that devotees don't usually talk about. And he focuses on it every bi-weekly or something like that. So long time ago, a few years back, it was he and Hari Parshad tackled that one. So there's a nice article. And if you send me a text message to remind me to send you the Bindu magazine answer to that question, and then I'll also send you a freebie that, your brother's answer to that question. I'm going to ask him, is it okay if I circulate? Before I circulate it. See if he wants to edit it or something. But I'm going off on that tangent because Vrindavan Dham is non-different than the abode of the Supreme Lord is non-different than the Supreme Lord. When he appears from the spiritual realm, and the spiritual realm descends with him. Of course, there's the eternal abode of the Supreme Lord that enters an unmanifest state, and very advanced devotees, Shuddha Bhaktas, may experience Krishna in his Aprakat Leela. They become revealed to that devotee, and then they describe those pastimes that we don't find in the Bhagavatam, but they directly experience. So the Dham is your brother's reply, which is, I know is true. Can you see the screen from the balcony seats back there? Okay, so more or less.
There's a lot of space here also.
Yeah, there's here.
There's some. Look at, there's some front row seats. No problema. So my contemplation on the way over here was, let's go to Vrindavan, because Rupa Goswami indicates that this is one of the 5 important things reside in the holy Dham. And if one can't reside there, then one can mentally reside. And how do you mentally reside? Or within your heart, hold that place within your heart. And it's by hearing. And hearing and becomes dear to your heart. Prabhupada writes this this is from chapter 8. So the visit here is this time before the Japa retreat is Krishna's childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, different few chapters. So that's the theme. This is chapter 8. This is Krishna shows the universal form within his mouth. It's a very old painting. Krishna's opening his mouth. That's that greenish looking Krishna on the left side. He's opening his mouth, and Mother Yashoda is looking in his mouth. And she sees what she sees, and we're going to hear what she sees. The next chapter is chapter 9. And chapter 9 is the Damodar Leela. In Krishna book, Prabhupada writes for chapter 9 that by regularly hearing the topics related to Krishna, one becomes attached to Krishna. And as one becomes attached to Krishna, then that which one is attached to appears in the mind. Not necessarily Krishna's form, although Krishna's form may appear in your mind. But the attachment is the byproduct of Shravanam Kirtanam. So that's how we can fulfill that most important instruction of the 5, residing in the holy place of like Vrindavan and Mathura, that's remote for us. So we don't just cross it off the list. We engage in hearing so that Krishna is in our mind. By regular hearing, become attached to the transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate. Somehow, we just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and Prabhupada's message came along, and we said yes. That's all. Somehow our lives became fortunate. No, sometimes people say, well, maybe. Sometimes people say no. We might have been fence straddlers, or know some people that are fence straddlers. That's okay. The sound vibration has this purifying effect. Even if somebody doesn't want it, just by hearing the sound vibration, it has an effect. I'm going to tell a little brahmachari story. Once upon a time was a brahmachari. 56 years ago was a young brahmachari. In one of the services that I did after I got purified by washing pots for a month, was somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, guess what? We find somebody that can wash the pots. Would you like to go on Sankirtan? It's like, I got 5 gold stars on my report card to get to go on Sankirtan. Anyway, that's another story. So my first day on Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan, and the system I was thinking, all these signs about Fourth of July fireworks. We should have our book distributors involved in going to where the mobs and masses of people are to gawk at the fireworks and give them Krishna somehow. Somehow. I'm sure that's what Parma Karuna is going to be doing wherever he is. He's going to have a stack of books and one for everybody and take pictures and be happy. So, my first day in Sankirtan, in those 1970, the summer of 1970, it's a few years ago, summer of 1970, was in the Boston Temple, and the place that the devotees went on Harinam every day was the Boston Common. And the reason it was the Boston Common is because there's a red line and a green line. That's how they call their subway system. And I think there's another one, blue line or something. And they all intersect, and they have exits right there. So people come pouring in and pouring out of the subway. And especially during lunch hour. There's a shopping area down that way, and then a business area down that way, and people come out to be in the park during their lunch hour. So it's like a fantastic place. It's got Krishna's initials on it. Instead of the Boston Common, it's the Krishna Common. So, and in those days, everybody in the temple, except the pujari, but the cook, because it was, anyway, everyone went on Sankirtan for an hour, minimum 1 hour. And even in that period of time, it changed after some time because of the load of service of the BBT, but before there was the BBT, it was ISKCON Press. And Prabhupada wisely spun it. So it had separate, if there was a problem with the ISKCON entity, his intellectual property wouldn't be at risk legally. That was the main reason, forming a book trust to protect his intellectual property forever through a legal instrument. But before there was that legal instrument, it was ISKCON Press. So the ISKCON Press devotees lived in the same building as the temple devotees. So that's why I moved there, because it was really a lively temple. Kirtan and classes, and it was amazing temple. So we went out in Harinam, and as a new devotee, fresh out of college, I still had my hair, I still had my dungarees, didn't have a dhoti yet, didn't put me in a dhoti right away, just like one of the guys. And the system was, some devotees would go with magazines and invitation cards. All we had was Back to Godhead magazine, and a little card inviting people to the temple. So chanting, and then some people would go out with the Back to Godhead and invitation cards. And then after half an hour, they'd switch. So I was watching. In the lunch crowd, there was this madman. I mean, he looked mad. He was hunched over, and he had this habit that he would rock back and forth as he was staring at the devotees. He was like mad. I was a little intimidated by that guy. And then it was my turn. So he knew I was a new guy because I was, hair and dungarees. And so as I was giving people the invitation card, and then on top of the invitation card goes the magazine, he came up and started screaming, "Don't take that magazine," blah, 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 blah. Spit was coming out of his mouth, and he grabbed the magazine and jumped up and down on the magazine. So there. Oh, that welcome to the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was my introduction. The chanting part was nice. Washing pots was nice too, but that was a little freaky. And my duration, he would come every day, do the same thing every day. He was a madman, do the same thing every day. And by the end of the summer, because by the end of the summer I was a trade, the ISKCON press bought a printing press, following in the footsteps of Bhaktisiddhanta. They bought a printing press. No one really knew how to run the printing press. Somebody thought they knew, but they didn't really know. They made a mess. And so there was a devotee in New York named Gadadhar, and he had a profession. He had a job previously of running a printing press. So Gadadhar was asked to come to Boston. I was to trade to New York. I didn't have anything to say about it. Just get in the car. They didn't send me by bus. They took me by car. And, so I became a New York devotee instead of a Boston devotee. But at the end, towards the end of the summer, this same madman, I'm approaching people with Back to Godhead magazines and invitation cards, and he came up and yelled at people, "Take that magazine. It's good," and gave the reasons why it's good, and like the same madness, but his madness was pro-Krishna instead of anti-Krishna. From how did that happen? Just by hearing the chanting of the holy name. And we weren't pure devotees. Prabhupada's a pure devotee, and that affected me. But we're just, sadhakas following the instruction. Something changed. His madness didn't change, but his regard for Krishna changed. He would insist, and people would look at him like, was he a plant or what? A madman plant? Anyway, from that was a profound realization that people are affected by sound vibration. Even the inimical, even the crazy. So sound vibration has great power. So here we are spending some time together in Naperville, ISKCON Naperville, and hearing about Krishna, so that our attraction for the temporary can subside enough so that our innate attraction for Krishna can awaken. So this is chapter 8, which follows chapter 7, and it comes before chapter 9. I'm good at math. And in chapter 7, there's a description similar to chapter 8, but it's different. Similar is, Mother Yashoda is feeding Krishna. And he's laying on his back, and she's feeding Krishna. And Krishna yawns. Little baby Krishna yawns. And she looks in his mouth, and she sees the universe. And she thinks, I'm delirious. She processes it, because she can't see Krishna as the Supreme Person. That's not Mother Yashoda. And then after the infancy pastime comes chapter 8. And I'm going to read something from chapter 9 because it's connected to chapter 8. Let's see if it works. Yeah. So 2 verses from chapter 9. This is the Damodar Leela chapter. Martya Lingam is put in different color letters. And he appeared as a human child. That's the meaning. Martya Lingam. Martya Lingam. So here's the translation. Oops. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end. No exterior, no interior. No front and no rear. In other words, He is all-pervading. Because he is not under the influence of the element of time, for him, there's no difference between past, present, and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times, being absolute, beyond relativity. He is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although he is the cause and effect of everything. That unmanifested person who is beyond the perception of the senses has now appeared as a human child, Marchalingam. And Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope. So there's philosophy laced with Leela. This is Shukadev Goswami narrating to Maharaj Parikshit, who wants to hear about Krishna. And by these descriptions, or step back, the actual pastime itself, the descriptions stir remembrance of Krishna. They remove forgetfulness of Krishna and the attraction for the temporary. At least the potency is there, just like light has the potency to dispel darkness. Darkness is dispelled and things become illumined by light. And that illumination awakens some feelings, just exactly as Prabhupada said in his Krishna book message. The attraction for Krishna, attachment for Krishna becomes awakened. Because it's innate, it's just covered. And as that attraction for Krishna proceeds, just by hearing about Krishna, his pastimes and his beauty and his loving dealings and his everything, just like this verse, hearing about him, something happens. So there's a relationship that becomes awakened. That which is forgotten becomes awakened. And it becomes like an ocean of rasa. So that's how this chapter 8 and the other chapters we're going to be discussing unfold, little by little by little. The pastime of Krishna's eating dirt comes starting around verse 35. So before verse 35, there's the scene, covers 20 verses, where Gargamuni is requested by Nanda Maharaj to perform the name-giving ceremony for both Krishna and Balaram. Gargamuni expresses his reluctance. I'm well known as the priest of the Yadu dynasty, and if I do this name-giving ceremony, and if Kamsa gets word, he's going to put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. That the missing child, the one that was the 8th child of Devaki that's missing, is over here, and he'll come and cause you difficulty and try to harm Krishna. But Nanda insisted. With that warning, he insisted or pleaded. So Gargamuni proceeded. And he gave names first to Balaram. Gave 3 names. Rama, because he gives pleasure to all of his relatives and all the residents of Vrindavan. So Rama, Bala because of his strength, and Sankarshana. He describes his names, why he chose those names. And then he gave names for Krishna. And after this 20-verse section concludes, he returns to Mathura. And Nanda now has names for these 2 children, the son of Rohini and the son of Yashoda. And the next 11 verses, is describing after the stage of Krishna's crawling, Krishna and Balaram, because and by the end he's toddling. So when he's still crawling, I like this painting. This painting just shows Krishna, but Krishna and Balaram, they're just crawling and having fun. So part of their fun was they would pull the tails of the calves. And the calves, feeling the tail being pulled, they would run. And when they were running, Krishna was going for a ride and having lots of fun. He got a big smile. And the gopis, seeing the calf running and Krishna being dragged, and they're panicking, and Krishna's laughing, and it's very joyful. There's many nice passages in this section. I mean, including the gopis, which precedes the next chapter, chapter 9. Krishna would go to the storerooms of various gopis and do his thing. He'd find the best butter, and he'd eat the butter, and he enjoyed giving. All the monkeys would come, and he get this reputation among the monkey clan. If you want some nice milk products, go find Krishna. And he would distribute until they couldn't eat anymore. The monkeys couldn't eat anymore. And then the gopis came and complained to Mother Yashoda, "Your son does this." This. And she said, "Oh, no. Why would he do this? We have so many sweetmeats, and Nanda Maharaj has 900,000 cows. Why would he go to some other place and take butter and yogurt and distribute to the monkeys?" No. She was like, and then she would shaking her finger, "Do you do this?" Little Krishna. Very consistent. At the earliest age, he's a thief. And that opens up the next section. This is Mother Yashoda looking in Krishna's mouth and seeing the universe. So here's how it begins. Verse 32. Ekada. Every good story begins like that, once upon a time. Or one day. While Krishna was playing with his small playmates, including Balaram and other sons of the Gopas, all his friends came together and lodged a complaint to Mother Yashoda. "Mother," they submitted, "Krishna has eaten dirt." Now there's some back and forth in commentary that says the cowherd boys, wanted to see Krishna be put in his place because he was so naughty. So they purposely tried in different ways to get Mother Yashoda to confront Krishna, and she didn't want to do it. But, for his safety, it worked. It pushed her button, the mama button. First, a complaint was lodged with Mother Yashoda about Krishna stealing, but Mother Yashoda did not chastise him. Now, in an attempt to awaken Mother Yashoda's anger, though that she would chastise Krishna, another complaint was invented. Now this is, did he eat dirt or did he not eat dirt? So there's two opinions. But one opinion is it was an invented story. He had eaten dirt. Jiva Goswami in his Krama Sandarbha is one of the multiple Srimad Bhagavatam commentaries of Jiva Goswami, and it's like what Prabhupada did verse by verse by verse by verse by verse for the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Krama Sandarbha. One day, Ekada, while Balaram and other elder cowherd boys were playing with Krishna, because Krishna and Balaram were younger, the other cowherd boys Of course, some were the same age, but older. They informed Yashoda politely that Krishna had eaten some dirt. And that invoked maternal affection. Oh, my son has eaten dirt. So that went to there's the cowherd boys, but here it's the gopis' interest in having Mother Yashoda reprimand and scold her son was fulfilled by the cowherd boys making this complaint. Vatsalya rasa. A taste of, this is now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Vismaya rasa. So that's a secondary rasa. Astonishment. Wonder. And so there was invoked by this complaint. It's presented by his friend's criticism. That's Mother Yashoda's response. Krishna was not scolded for stealing yogurt, but was scolded for eating dirt. Both were incited by love, because the land of Vrindavan is a land of love, even when it may look otherwise. So he knows that. And it's just a churning of this, like this bhakti rasa, churning of the ocean of bhakti by this stimulus and that stimulus. The pastimes of Krishna are just a continuous flow of loving exchange. Jiva Goswami comments, remembering a previous pastime, that's the previous pastime when Mother Yashoda saw Krishna yawning and looked in his mouth as he was yawning and saw the universe. Remembering a previous pastime that was astonishing. When Krishna yawned and Yashoda saw the universe in his mouth, Shukadeva Goswami begins speaking. So it's building. There she is, looking in Krishna's mouth. Of course, it doesn't really show us yawning, but that's okay. Ramadya Gopa Daruka. So this is analysis of the Sanskrit terms. Ramadya. These were the persons who raised the complaint. His friends. Ramadya. And then Gopa Daruka. Gopa can be broken down. Gopa Daruka. The Gopa indicates that these boys were ordered by Yashoda to protect Krishna. They carried out the orders like wooden puppets because they were ordered. They wanted Mother Yashoda to know Krishna's eaten dirt. So Daruka, yes, puppet, which is similar to Daruka, which is the verse in Sukadeva Goswami's speaking or Vyasadev's writing of this verse. Daruka is a puppet, so they were like puppets. It can mean those who give joy, ka, to the wife of Nanda, Dara. Who knows who Nanda and Yashoda were before they were Nanda and Yashoda? Dara and Drona and Dara. So this says Dara, that's Drona was Nanda. Anyway. Dara means wife. The wife of Nanda. The wife of Nanda, Dara. By informing her that Krishna had eaten dirt. So this is Jiva Goswami's taking the statement of Shukadeva Goswami, what's going on here, and giving it different meanings. Now this is compliments of Hari Parshad Prabhu, because I don't know too much about Hari Suri's writing other than what I've heard from him. Hari Suri is a Vaishnava. After all the six Goswamis departed, he lived in Maharashtra. He is a father of the line of Tukaram, and he was very, very, very dedicated to Krishna, particularly Krishna in Vrindavan, meaning his childhood pastimes. So he made elaborate, profound commentary on his pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. And one of the pastimes in Vrindavan is this one. So he writes, there is something that all the demigods, heavenly beings, and yogis have been waiting for. What they've been waiting for. All these entities are waiting for the dust of Vrindavan. The dust has arisen from the cows and gopis' lotus feet. Krishna was listening to all the prayers of the heavenly residents, and even the residents of the lower planetary system, like Bali Maharaj, for receiving the dust of Vrindavan. Krishna has all the universes within his abdomen. Everyone will receive the dust of Vrindavan if Krishna simply eats the dust of Vrindavan. So he's in the camp that says Krishna ate a particle of dust at least. There's some that say he didn't. The cowherd boys made it up. And similarly, another commentary, Krishna is contemplating. Previously, when I appeared as the son of Renuka and Jamadagni are the parents of Parshuram. One of the purposes of my appearance was to protect the cows. And Brahmanas, I served the Brahmanas by retrieving the earth from the unqualified Kshatriyas and gifted it to the Brahmanas. In this appearance as Krishna, I've done so much for the cows, but not so much for the Brahmanas. Brahmanas are dvijas, or twice born. So teeth are also twice born. That's where this one's going. There is something in our body which is twice born, or dvija, our teeth. Twice born, milk teeth and permanent teeth. So Krishna now eats the dirt, or earth, and gives it as a gift to the teeth, the twice born. In this way, some service to the twice born is accomplished. Hari Suri Ki Jai. So that was the first verse of this section. Here's the next verse. Upon hearing this from Krishna's playmates, Mother Yashoda, who was always full of anxiety over Krishna's welfare, picked Krishna up with her hands to look into his mouth and chastise him. Her eyes fearful, she spoke to her son as follows. So here's Mother Yashoda. This is the revised Krishna book, the European Krishna book. They did a new set of paintings. So that's their painting. And she's looking in Krishna's mouth with many gopis surrounding her. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, Yashoda held Krishna by the hand for fear that he would run away. She scolded him, but her intention was for his benefit. Hitaisani. Now she hasn't scolded him yet completely because she's still checking to see if he ate dirt. In this case, scolding and beating are nourishers of prema, not faults. This is the usual habit of the mother towards her son and is not unjust. No, modern values might say otherwise, but that's what he wrote, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. His eyes were filled with fear. This fear in the Lord is an ornament, appearing through prema, not a fault. So she's not at fault and he's not at fault. It's a loving exchange. It's a prema exchange. Next verse. Dear Krishna, why are you so restless that you've eaten dirt in a solitary place? This complaint has been lodged against you by all your playmates, including your elder brother Balaram. How is this? No, she's giving him the benefit of the doubt, but she's guilty. And Krishna, of course, Krishna is going to deny it's not true. Mother Yashoda was agitated by Krishna's restless behavior. So this is mother-son rasa. Her house was full of sweetmeats. Why then should the restless boy eat dirt in a solitary place? He's restless. Krishna replied, my dear mother, they plotted together and lodged a complaint against me so that you will punish me. My elder brother Balaram has joined them. Actually, I have not done this. Take my words as true. Do not be angry and chastise me. This is Prabhupada's purport. The drama is unfolding. I mean, it's... How much pre-planning, how much scripting is involved in Krishna's pastimes? Is there any free will involved at all? Is everyone just puppets on a puppet string and Krishna's the puppeteer? And of course there's free will. Free will is intrinsic to a living entity. The free will is there. And the free will position of a devotee, of a pure devotee, is whatever is pleasing to Krishna. That's what I want. Now, how conscious are they? This is what Krishna wants, not that. And the platform is spontaneous. It's not necessarily, a calculated, Krishna wants this, not that. It's spontaneous. It's totally spontaneous. So there's certainly an aspect in Krishna's pastimes of the way that our acharyas describe it specifically is his internal potencies. One of those internal potencies is Leela Shakti. I mean, it gets really science-oriented, but Bhu Shakti is the same as Leela Shakti, and Leela Shakti arranges people to say this and do that, instead of the opposite. But they're moved by his potency, and in that sense, they're puppets. But in another sense, it's their free will is free will. They just want what Krishna wants. And inspired by Leela Shakti, they say and they do what Krishna wants, because he has a plan. And his plan is to show Mother Yashoda what he's going to show Mother Yashoda, and have her in astonishment, and that's the secondary rasa, to awaken in her a secondary rasa on top of the primary rasa, to augment the primary rasa. He enjoys that. He enjoys her enjoying wonderment. So he's setting up a pastime. It's really nice. It's like very nice. Oh, unsteady boy with unsteady mind, did you eat dirt? Did you not get sweets in my house? Not in my presence, but stealthily you have done it. Your friends are saying this is so it cannot be false. She's like guilty before he even has a day in court. You cannot say, this is Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, you cannot say that they are saying that as enemies because they want me to beat you, because even Baladev is saying this. He's standing right there saying this. There's no doubt about it. Guilty. Until proven innocent. Text 35. Krishna replied, "My dear mother, I have never eaten dirt. All my friends complaining against me are liars." So now she has to decide who's the liar. If you think they're being truthful, you can directly look into my mouth and examine it. It's a setup. This verse spoken by Shukadeva Goswami, or spoken by Mother Yashoda, written by Shukadeva, or spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. This means Vatsalya Rasa Poshika. Sometimes a small child speaks lies. For example, he may have stolen something or eaten something, yet deny that he has done so. So now, only in Vrindavan, Krishna has the liberty to lie. And have sweet delight pastimes with his devotees. This is Vrindavan. Jiva Goswami writes, outside Vrindavan, one of his names is Satya. He never speaks a lie. He is the supreme almighty Lord Vishnu outside Vrindavan who follows the Vedas. Vrindavan? Now, he, Krishna on the left, is speaking about his friends. And we know from that celebrated verse, Krita Punya Punjar, they achieve that position of being intimately associated with Krishna as friends after many, 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 many lifetimes. Not just material piety, but transcendental punya. Many, 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 many. So that they can play with Krishna. They can wrestle with Krishna. They can climb on Krishna's back. They can feed Krishna. They can intimately be with Krishna. Touch Krishna, have Krishna embrace them. How fortunate. In narrating the pastimes of Krishna with the cowherd boys, Maharaj Parikshit Shukadeva Goswami becomes so ecstatic. He just stops narrating and just says, how fortunate are these cowherd boys. There's another nice painting of their intimate activities with one another. Now here's Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. This quality of telling a lie is greater than any spiritual quality, such as truthfulness, purity, or mercy. As Krishna's telling a lie spring from his bhakta vatsala, he's very, very dear and beloved unto his devotees and towards his devotees. He has no fault. Rather, it is the crown jewel of all great qualities. So there's special affection and appreciation and commentary that's required to understand Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Or say it the other way. Without that commentary, one is going to not understand. One will be bewildered by one, make so many mistakes and criticize and etc. To understand Krishna in Vrindavan is not ordinary. So we will require some assistance. Fortunately, there's great acharyas to give that assistance. Again, about the lying. this lying of Krishna becomes a good quality, since by describing it, Shukadev derives bliss. And by hearing it, the devotees derive bliss. He tries to stimulate Mother Yashoda's affection because he fears getting beaten. Now, does he have fear, or does he pretend to have fear? So one can argue this way, one can argue that way. Now, coming up after chapter 8 is chapter 9, and chapter 9 is this image of what Krishna does to get scolded by Mother Yashoda, and becomes fearful and rubs his eyes and breathing quick, and she wants to bind him, and he starts to cry, and she throws away the stick, but then she tries to bind him. It's a pastime of love where he behaves in such a way that he appears to be fearful. However, according to Queen Kunti, he's not just feigning or pretending fear. He who is feared by fear personified sees the stick in Mother Yashoda's hands, and he becomes fearful of the stick in Mother Yashoda's hands. He doesn't want to get, and it's a little skinny. The phrase is lati. It's a little skinny thing. It's not going to hurt. But she's shaking the thing, like scolding, shaking her finger. It's going to hurt. But he cries because he's afraid. So she throws away the stick because she didn't want to see him cry. But she wants to restrain her son. So she does something else, or tries to do something else. So it's all of this is this chapter and this whole discussion in this chapter and then the next chapter. Same mood. It's the strong position of affection of Mother Yashoda for Krishna and the intimacy of her love. It's so special. I did not eat dirt. That's paraphrasing Krishna's words. Since he only pretended to eat dirt, he spoke the truth, others lied. Or he spoke a lie in fear, and this was not a fault. Or he spoke a lie to give pleasure to special devotees. Take your pick, which one do you like? Or if he did eat the dirt, he believed all the signs of eating dirt had been removed. Or, this is Sanatana Goswami, by showing something astonishing, he would distract attention from his act. Lila. And, take your pick. So, by one of the qualities of Krishna is by one thing he achieves many things. And back to where we started from, just by hearing pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, this is at a certain age where there's a certain characteristic pattern of restlessness and so forth and so on. And it's just that the charming nature of Krishna draws our attention to Krishna, as his interest is the happiness of his devotees, starting with Mother Yashoda, but also all of us. Jiva Goswami comments, the activities of the Lord are two types. Simple. The opulence, this is Krishna in Vrindavan also, showing opulence to Lord Brahma, or those displaying sweetness. So in this Leela, it's also both. He's going to show some opulence, but he's also showing sweetness. And Mother Yashoda doesn't know how to process the opulence, so she just stays with the sweetness. What is amazing in the pastimes is arranged by the Leela Shakti. I mentioned this already. This and that and the other thing. Krishna's rasa vaisaha. He is the source of all rasa, and he enjoys rasa. And his enjoyment is the enjoyment of his devotees. The enjoyment of the devotees is the enjoyment of Krishna. So it's just, a transcendental competition of who's going to please the other one. And it's the arrangement between the two, the devotee and Krishna, is Leela Shakti. Since he is complete in all powers while being attached only to the rasa in his pastimes. It's not just his enjoyment, it's the reciprocation of love, the enjoyment of the devotee in primary and secondary rasas. Thus it is said in the verse, Isha Cheshtatar. He performed pastimes which are skillfully arranged, though this is sometimes easy and sometimes difficult to arrange according to the pastime. When Yashoda challenged Krishna, if you have not eaten dirt, then open your mouth wide. Krishna, endowed with the highest powers and with the highest sweetness, that's Aishwarya and Madhurya, exhibiting pastimes like a human child, not completely giving up his powers, opened his mouth. So that's verse 36. We've covered 4 verses so far. Then going back, she then saw the universe. This was arranged by the Leela Shakti. But previously, he spoke to make the pastime enjoyable. My dear mother, I have not eaten dirt. All my friends are liars. If you think they are truthful, you can directly look into my mouth. And then she saw what she saw. Jiva Goswami's comment, this Shakti, that's Leela Shakti, nourished the astonishment, that's the secondary rasa, and worry, which increased Yashoda's vatsalya, both stimulating and furthering and enhancing her parental affection. And though Krishna seemed to tell a lie out of fear, his words, I did not eat dirt, became true. Because you don't see dirt in his mouth, you see the universe. Here's the text 36. That was Jiva Goswami's paraphrase of those 2 verses. Mother Yashoda challenged Krishna, if you've not eaten dirt, then open your mouth wide. When challenged by his mother in this way, Krishna, son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, to exhibit pastimes like a human child, opened his mouth. Although the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, who is full of all opulences, did not disturb his mother's parental affection, his opulence was automatically displayed. For Krishna's opulence is never lost at any stage, but is manifest at the proper time. So it was done in such a way that he displayed opulence beyond imagination, but it was done in such a way also that as her motherly affection was heightened, like anything, protecting his son from eating dirt, come on. His motherly affection was so prominent, it didn't move. She couldn't go to the Aishwarya from the Madhurya. This is Prabhupada's purport. Without disturbing the ecstasy of his mother's affection, Krishna opened his mouth and displayed his own natural opulence. Krishna's many potencies in this pastime. So Krishna has unlimited potencies, yes? So one of them is It's same potencies he's going to exhibit in the Damodar Leela. Satya Sankalpa. He wants, and because he wants, it becomes. Satya Sankalpa. Krishna was taking the form of a human child to perform mainly playful sweet pastimes, which is another manifestation of his power of Satya Sankalpa. Satya Sankalpa was when the ropes couldn't go around Krishna, because he didn't want the ropes to go around him, so the ropes couldn't go around him. Krishna is wanting, here in this case, he wanted to enjoy playful pastimes, and so that's a sankalpa. Aishwarya, he displayed the universe, which didn't disturb Mother Yashoda's parental affection. It nourished her parental affection with the mood of astonishment, secondary rasa. And another of one of his potencies, Avyahat Aishvarya, meaning these are the shared commentary by all three commentators, as you see at the bottom. Unimpeded, non-contradictory power. So Krishna's the Leela is afraid of punishment. He doesn't want Mother Yashoda to scold him, which is a kind of punishment. He told a lie in order that Yashoda could not detect his fault. How could he do this? If he were to open his mouth, the evidence would be found. Inspired by the boy's power of Satya Sankalpa, back to Satya Sankalpa, sweet childhood pastimes. This unimpeded Aishvarya on its own manifested the universal form, and Yashoda, lost in astonishment, forgot to scold their son. How could she scold someone that shows the universe in her mouth? And then the next 37, 38, 39, they're translated together. You're going to see this the second time, so here it is the first time. This is the essence of the Leela, of the whole chapter. When Krishna opened his mouth wide in order to, by the order of Yashoda, she saw within his mouth everything, all moving and non-moving entities, outer space, all directions, along with mountains, islands, oceans, the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, fire, the moon, and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of ahankar. She also saw the senses, the mind, sense perception, and the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance. She saw the time allotted for the living entities. Now these are unmanifest, commentary is going to say, these are all unmanifest things, and she saw them. How did she see the unmanifest things? She saw them personified by the controlling deities of all these things. That's commentary. She saw natural instinct and the reactions of karma, and she saw desires in different varieties of bodies, moving and non-moving, seeing all these aspects of the cosmic manifestation along with herself and Vrindavan Dham. She became doubtful and fearful of her son's nature. So this is going to come up again, or more explanation of this series of verses. Gopal Champu, this is another Krishna, that you could say commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, written by Jiva Goswami, very creative. Yashoda thought, how amazing. The same world that is visible outside is now also within the mouth of my child. Within this world, I can see Mathura Mandala, and within it, I can see Vraja. Within Vraja, I can also see myself holding the hand of my child. What on earth is going on here? And then, so that's what she's seeing, looking in his mouth. It's all those things that the verse, 3 verses said. Here's an artist's attempt to depict. And at the center of all of it is Braja itself, and she's with Krishna holding his hand. Inside Braja, she's seeing herself looking in Krishna's mouth, Have I become delirious? What's going on? And all the 3 worlds, all the mountains, like Meru, are the jewels. All the riches, all the planets, all of these cannot be compared to even a part of Gokula. Now this is translated by Hari Parshad Prabhu, but Harisuri had a guru, and his guru wrote these words because he also had his penchant for Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. In this Gokula, there was a tiny little child who took tiny quantity of dirt and put it in his mouth. Just see the result. Even a few particles of dust can turn into the whole universe. And Srila Prabhupada's purport. Everything is within the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Maya jakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Everything in the material nature or prakriti works under his control, because all these manifestations come from Govinda. They could all be visible within the mouth of Govinda. I mean, our acharyas enjoy, like anything, these pastimes. And it doesn't become, creative, fanciful writing time. It's just they're meditating deeply and expressing in their commentary their explanation or their experiences. And it's like very special to me, at least. It's very special to get the insight in their heart of how these pastimes are experienced by them. The artwork is fantastic. She's opening her mouth to ask Krishna to open her mouth. And Jiva Goswami is commenting on, I cut out about 2/3 of it because it's all this detail and detail and detail and detail and what she saw. But the essence is, she saw the universe in his stomach, since what he had eaten would be in his stomach. Sridhar Swami says, concerning a verse in the next chapter, quote, the universe took shelter in his stomach. The universe composed of moving and non-moving entities is described, and it goes in details and details and details. She saw that which has no form, mind, ahankara, prakriti, by seeing their controlling deities, which are considered non-different from the invisible objects. The controlling deities of even invisible objects became visible to her. And thus she saw those objects. When her son opened his mouth, she saw Vraja along with herself and Krishna. And then the chapter 14, this is chapter 8. Chapter 14 is Brahma Vimohan Lila. Brahma Vimohan Lila means what Brahma experienced when he stole the calves and cowherd boys and got bewildered. Vimohan. He came back and he saw what he saw, and then he had offered prayers. So one of his prayers, just as this entire universe including you, was exhibited within your abdomen. He's referring to this pastime. So it is now manifested here externally in the same exact form. How could such things happen unless arranged by your inconceivable energy? So Brahma is not Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda is not Brahma. Their capacities are different. Their gifts are different. Their endowments are different. Brahma is highly learned. So he can do high math, no problem. And she just gets astonished and forgets everything, like scolding Krishna, and he mission accomplished. But Brahma understands in a way that is different, that it strikes his heart in a different way. He knows, and it strikes his heart in a different way. So that what she saw in Krishna's mouth was being shown externally to Lord Brahma in all directions. And that much he's understanding. Then, who has the capacity to build the universe? How much, university education would it take to build the universe? But he's smarter than the smartest of the university folks. And he's acknowledging what you just showed me. You showed previously in a subtle form within your mouth to Mother Yashoda. And now you're showing me externally. That's in Jiva Goswami's commentary on these three verses. By the inconceivable power of the small boy, simultaneously the great form containing the universe and the small human form which reside within the universe and which contained the universe within it was shown. Yashoda started having various doubts. She worried about her son, because that's more important to the mother than what's going on here. She could see this because she was endowed with extraordinary powers. Now the commentary is the extraordinary power was her extraordinary bhakti. She could see what somebody else couldn't see because of her powers, and because Krishna, knowing her and her love for him, he showed what he showed. And the painting is very nice. The painting is, you see in the upper right, she's seeing in Krishna's mouth all those planets and everything, but she's also seeing herself looking inside Krishna's mouth. And Krishna's having fun. And it's enhancing her parental affection by astonishment. So here's another nice painting. Krishna's opening his mouth. She's ready to scold him. There's Balaram behind Mother Yashoda and the other cowherd boys, and there's demigods off in the sky checking out the scene. Text number 40. Mother Yashoda began to argue within herself. Is this a dream? Or isn't it illusory creation by the external energy? Has this been manifested by my own intelligence, or is it some mystic power of my child? She's bewildered. She's in ecstasy, astonished ecstasy. She began to argue, this is commentary, about the reason for her vision. Was it a dream? No, because my eyes are not filled with contaminants of sleep. Was it some illusion created by the devatas? Why should the devatas delude an insignificant person like me? Was it some mental derangement? No, because my mind is stable now. Or is it some inconceivable power, Atma Yoga, of my son? Since Gargamuni said he would have qualities like Narayana in the name-giving ceremony earlier in this chapter. Text 41. Therefore, so this is her conclusion, let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisances unto him who is beyond the conception of human speculation, mind, activities, words, arguments, who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation, by whom the entire cosmos is maintained, and by whom we can conceive of its existence. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for he is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. He is beyond all of my material activities. So she is devotee of the Supreme Lord. She's not recognizing that's the Supreme Lord sitting in my lap. When the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let us simply offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of the Lord. Prabhupada's purport. Mother Yashoda concluded that the wonderful things she saw within the mouth of her child were due to him, although she could not clearly ascertain the cause somehow. Her faith goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not her son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is by the influence of the Supreme Lord's Maya that I'm wrongly thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband, that Krishna is my son, that because I'm the queen of Nanda Maharaj, all the wealth of cows and calves are my possessions, and all the cowherd men and their wives are my subjects. Actually, I am also eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord. He is my ultimate shelter. So, Bhaktin Yashoda. Prabhupada's purport. Following in the footsteps of Mother Yashoda, everyone should follow this mentality of renunciation. Nice image, whatever our position may be. We're getting close to ending the chapter. Mother Yashoda, by the grace of the Lord, could understand the real truth. But then again, the Supreme Master, by the influence of the internal potency, Yogamaya, inspired her to become absorbed in intense maternal affection for her son. A lila to enhance that maternal affection. Mission accomplished. Although Mother Yashoda understood the whole philosophy of life, at the next moment she was overwhelmed by affection for her son, by the influence of Yogamaya. So, yeah, how can we put ourselves in Mother Yasoda's shoes? We can only imagine. And therefore, the acharyas are helping us get a look at her heart and how she's processing all of this. Discerning the truth in this way, she desired to give up her sense of possessiveness. Vishwanath writes, but then the Lord, as a small boy, thought, who will cuddle me? Who will hold me? When he thought this way, the very form of affection for her son overcame Yashoda. Mayi, in the phrase, gives the meaning of affection itself. Prema, in the form of parental affection. Maya here indicates bewilderment. Yashoda became blinded by prema. Very elevated topic, very elevated personalities. In this verse, Maya means by the Lord's potency which inspires transcendental love for Him. Not only did this Maya create a relationship, but produce special bhakti. It was filled with affection of thinking of Krishna as her son. Putra Sneha, Mayim. Mayim means full, or the very form. Quote, even if one knows the truth, such bhakti is hard to attain. Krishna was capable of doing anything. So a shared commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote after, chronologically, after Jiva Goswami. So some of the commentary of Jiva Goswami is not exactly cut and paste, but following precisely the understandings of Jiva Goswami. Some of them are different. Immediately forgetting Yogamaya's illusion that Krishna had shown the universal form within his mouth, Mother Yashoda took up her son on her lap, as before, feeling increased affection in her heart for her transcendental child. So the Leela is over. Now the transcendental emotions are settling in her primary emotion once again, parental affection. As one forgets everything after a dream, Mother Yashoda immediately forgot the entire incident. As her natural affection, natural feelings of affection increased, she decided to herself, now let this incident be forgotten. I do not mind. Here is my son, let me kiss him. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are studied through the three Vedas, the Upanishads, the literature of Sankhya Yoga, and other Vaishnava literature, yet Mother Yashoda considered that Supreme Person her ordinary child. We're almost done. So this is now a little comparison, the love of Yashoda to the comparison of Devaki. And so this is a wrap-up of the whole chapter. The purposes of the Vedas, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, to understand our relationship with Krishna, to act in that relationship, and to reach the ultimate goal. Prabhupada in his purports to this section. The word prayojana means necessities. The ultimate necessity, again this is Prabhupada, the ultimate necessity is explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What's that? Prema Pumarto Mahan. The greatest necessity for a human being is the attainment or achievement of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, Prabhupada, here we see that Mother Yashoda is on the highest stage of necessity or prema, for she is completely absorbed in love for Krishna. And she can't move from that position. And her parental affection is the predominating mood of love. The above Vedic purposes are pursued in three ways: Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, and Upasanakanda. When one reaches the complete, perfect stage of Upasanakanda, one comes to worship Narayana, or Lord Vishnu. It's a nice painting, isn't it? The four Vedas, worshipping Krishna. Vishnu Pasana, Vishnu Pasana, Upasana, or worship of Vishnu. Vishnu Aradhana, worship of Lord Vishnu, is the highest stage of perfection as realized by Devaki. Now this is a comparison, Devaki and Yashoda. But here, Mother Yashoda performs no upasana, for she has developed transcendental ecstatic love for Krishna. Therefore, her position is even better than that of Devaki. Again, Prabhupada. As men surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. One may be a karmi, a jnani, a yogi, and then a bhakta, or prema bhakta, but the ultimate stage of realization is prema bhakti, or as actually demonstrated by Mother Yashoda. So here she is, looking in Krishna's mouth, seeing the universe, and just embracing him very happily. Whoever you may be, you're my son. Okay, so that's chapter 8, little summary, and the specific form of, or feature of it, Krishna's showing within his mouth. Everything is within him. This is a nice way to spend a Sunday. I don't know if any of you saw somebody, I requested some videos of Madhava and Janavi Harrison had a concert together in a church. And there weren't any YouTube videos, just somebody, scanning the stage. And Madhava singing, and then the response, and then they started scanning around this cathedral. What's it called? Grand Cathedral? Grand Cathedral. It's a grand cathedral. I mean, the dome, it's just like, the architecture is fantastic. But there they are, the audience sitting in church pews, because you could see the hymnal. Now, those of you that didn't grow up in a Christian family won't know what a hymnal is. But it's a little book that all Christian churches have, and on the back side of the seat in front of you, there's like a little slat that holds a book. The book is a hymnal. And you sing this song, that song, based upon the mood of the priest that's leading the service. So they're sitting in front of all these hymnals and up on the stages. Madhava and Janavi Harrison. I'd rather be sitting here in your home hearing Krishna's pastime to Vrindavan than sitting in there's nothing. Fantastic people go to church and sing hymns from the hymnal and hear the priest say whatever he's going to say. But going directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his loving dealings and our acharyas disclosing it's this Shakti moving that emotion, and then that emotion awakened this secondary emotion, and we're being invited into the spiritual world just by these wonderful pastimes. And compliments of the devotees who have taken these Sanskrit writings of the acharyas and made them accessible to us that don't read Sanskrit. Just hearing submissively, thoughtfully, it does something. Go back to that example of the wild man at the Boston Common. Just by hearing, something happened. So we're just little people just hearing. And something's happening, whether we recognize it or not. Something's happening. Swift, slow, or somewhere in between, whatever it is, something's happening. Transcendental something is happening. So for this week preceding the Festival of Holy Name, which is another thing, just hearing these wonderful pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Who knows, maybe you'll have dreams about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan by the time we're done. Who knows? And Monday's Ekadasi. That's tomorrow, right? So you know what to do, right? Along with the fasting, the increasing of hearing and chanting. And prayers that Krishna may accept your little austerity and enter your heart more. This is a nice month. There's 3 Ekadasis in 1 month. Because tomorrow's the 1st. It ends with the 3rd Ekadasi. Okay, let's see if there's some discussion. Yeah.
Maharaj, I was wondering if Mother Yashoda forgets the vision completely, then for the long term, what was the purpose of the vision for her? If she forgets it, then was it just for the short term, like the feeling of astonishment, the bliss in that exchange, or in the long run, then does she retain that impression, or does she completely?
Well, impressions are retained, for sure. But whether that impression that was retained came back again, I can't think of any reference that says yes or no. If it's yes, just revisit that feeling of astonishment. Not that Mother Yashoda can have the Yogamaya curtain removed and say, maybe he is the personality of Godhead or something like that. It's like all the other pastimes, the lifting of Govardhan Hill, etc., astonishing pastimes. Their madhurya is so strong when Krishna shows. So impression is stored. If the impression came back because it's stored, it didn't disturb her parental affection because it's so strong. The revisiting astonishment. What was it really? Like this list of this or this or this or this or this. Am I seeing things? Am I delirious? Am I mad? Is it the power of my son? What is it? And then she forgot.
So then, if she completely forgets it, like she forgets even the astonishment or the confusion, then is the pastime, one scholar asks this, that then is the pastime for our benefit? Because it's not really for her benefit.
Well, it's love. And the benefit, hearing about the love of Mother Yashoda, is it for our benefit? Mother Yashoda is experiencing love. We're benefiting from her benefit. And as the waves of a river keep moving and moving and moving, and the configuration of the waves keeps moving and moving and moving, she's in that river of transcendental emotion. So is it that for her benefit? What about the pastimes that we don't know about, that the river keeps moving and we just don't have a record of them? It's her benefit, and we're benefiting from her benefit vicariously. That's Raganuga Bhakti. The perfected souls and their loving dealings with Krishna, and that's to our benefit, but to stimulate the potential of our experiencing those emotions through the medium of their emotions. So it's certainly for our benefit as well. Anything else? Yes. Okay. You're closer.
Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj, I was thinking that Krishna shows universal form at different times. So he shows it to Mother Yashoda and she's astonished.
Twice.
Then he also to Arjuna.
Yeah.
And then he becomes fearful, but then he surrenders. And then he also shows like partial universal form to Duryodhana.
He got some mercy too.
But he, there is nothing from his side. Like he doesn't, surrender.
No. No way.
So my question is that Krishna is desiring this pastimes.
Yes.
So, but the outcomes are different.
Yes.
So the outcomes are dependent on
The heart.
Heart of the
receiver.
Yeah. So my confusion was that Krishna is desiring. So is the outcome is also dependent on his desire?
You can say no to Krishna. Duryodhana did. So what was Krishna's purpose in showing partial to Duryodhana? Not the same as Mother Yashoda, because the relationship is different. Sanjaya saw it too, because he describes it. Television, but he saw it. So how a signal is broadcast and different people will receive the signal different ways, according to the orientation, the conceptions, and what's important to them, and so forth. Okay. Teamwork.
The graphics were really enchanting, Maharaj. My question is, I found it interesting that when in chapter 7, when Mother Yashoda was hearing the complaints of the gopis, seemed like she was less trusting of it than when she heard the complaints of the cowherd boys and immediately questioned Krishna.
Because Balaram, ladies can be envious, but Balaram's his brother. Mothers. If I was Mother Yashoda, I'd believe Balaram before I believe some ladies. Maybe that's me. Back there, there's a second microphone. All the way back.
I have a different question, Guru Maharaj, but in relation to this question, is there also, just as a mother, when you hear about like your child's health or safety, like they're eating something, seems to invoke more of an emotion than other times. Is that also involved, that in this particular instance, he's eating?
Yeah, it's also mentioned. Krishna's stealing. He's naughty. Krishna's eating dirt. Let me see. I believe them because they're not going to, you can say, but your brother's not going to lie. Anyway, so she's processing it as a mother might process. That's your question. So yeah, makes sense to me.
Another question.
Mothers are mothers. Transcendental mothers and the other kind too. Go ahead.
Another question, Guru Maharaj. Towards the end Srila Prabhupada, you were quoting a statement that said everyone should follow this mentality of renunciation of Mother Yashoda. And there was another statement, she decided to give up her sense of possessiveness. So is this referring to, ordinary mortals like
Yes,
us?
he's not transcendental. She didn't give up her transcendental possessiveness. Because, that's a whole topic of Rupa Goswami. Krishna, you are mine. And it's not just parental, but, it's bhakti from any rasa. I am yours and you are mine. I don't have any other property. I am your property. Both. So she didn't give that up. But the material sense.
So it is to instruct us to give up that material possessiveness,
Sure.
even though her possessiveness is totally Krishna prema.
Yeah. Yes. Let's say, go back to, the Rupa Goswami teaching of Raga Bhakti or Raga Marg is look to those perfected souls and become subservient to and hear about and remember and connected to and absorbed in. So that's for Raga Marg, Raga Bhaktas. That's the path. The material possessiveness, I and mine, in the material platform, give it up. So it may take something startling, or may take just regular hearing or whatever it takes, but that's an instruction for the spontaneous bhaktas. And so those that aren't on the platform of spontaneous bhakti, they're just looking at Mother Yashoda as like an object. Interesting. But then, more than that is Raga Bhakti. Online. We need the microphone back. Can you take them? I know. Take the microphone from him. Okay, you got it. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is from Dhananjayalu Prabhu.
From whom?
Dhananjayalu.
Dhananjaya?
Yes.
Dhananjaya.
Dhananjayalu.
You say 5 syllables in 1 syllable.
Dhananjayalu.
Okay, go ahead.
For every mother, her intimacy and affection towards her child is special.
Yeah.
What is the significance of Mother Yashoda's affection towards Krishna?
Transcendental. That's special. I mean, she doesn't, it's not, how to say it properly. It's not a post. Someone can't become Mother Yashoda. One can become an assistant of Mother Yashoda. One can become like Mother Yashoda. There's only one Mother Yashoda forever. So it's not she's earned some pious credits and so she became Mother Yashoda. But one can learn from her mood of love and assimilate to, not clone or, accept that mood of love in parental affection. And then there's aspects of her parental affection, but there's still one Mother Yashoda. It's similar to, what I'm saying is similar to Krishna taking the role of the calves and cowherd boys for 1 year from all the mothers that had spontaneous love for Krishna, even more than their own sons, which mothers don't. It's not in motherhood, but in Vrindavan, that's their feeling. So Krishna reciprocated. He became their son, while the sons were in a cave. Poor guys. cave for a month, for a year, excuse me. Anyway, he reciprocates with the love. And so, back to Mother Yashoda, she is one of a kind. It's not a jiva either. That's a whole, at least from Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective, she's not a jiva. Jivas can become assistants, but they can't become switch categories for Shakti Tattva from Jiva Tattva. Sorry, Charlie, that's not how it works. Okay. Yes. Here's the microphone. No, you.
Maharaj, I was wondering, is it true that...
Age before beauty, right?
Sorry?
You've heard the phrase? Age before beauty?
No?
You've not heard that one?
No, Maharaj.
Oh, okay, it's a new one. It's respect your elders.
Oh.
You're the elder, so we're respecting elders.
Maharaj, is it true that these childhood pastimes are not to be... they're only enacted in Brahma Vrindavan, but not in Golok Vrindavan?
Correct.
And why?
Why not? There's diversity. There's diversity. No, so are there various ages of Krishna's pastimes in Goloka? Krishna's a certain age. But there's feelings of love within a rasa. So Krishna enjoys his earthly pastimes, and not just this earth, but throughout the universe. But they're unique for this universe. And there's many other things to say, but that's, yes. Okay, he does.
Maharaj, this is a question regarding the first part where you were speaking about the chanting of the holy name.
I thought we were going to go back to the 10 quadrillion.
No. I was curious. So it said that the holy name is more merciful than Krishna. At the same time, it said that the holy name is non-different than Krishna.
That's right.
So what is it about the holy name that makes it more merciful
Well,
than Krishna?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was more merciful than Krishna, but he's Krishna himself. So what's special about Lord Chaitanya? It's a different but quite similar question. So there's the fullness of mercy is within Krishna, and the fullness of mercy of Krishna is especially exhibited in that feature of him that's his name. So there are different features of him: his deity form, his holy dham, his prasadam, his pastimes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what is it? Your question is, what's special about the holy name? The fullness of that mercy is exhibited in the name, while at the same time the name is not different than the person or the form, etc. So it's a gift for those that may not be so qualified to approach his form. They can approach his name, and he gives his mercy especially to those who approach him in his name, and to help them become qualified to approach in its form. It's a nice question. It's similar to what's the topic we discussed in Palatine. The merciful nature of Lord Chaitanya as he gave what no other incarnation has ever given before, without any condition. And the example and after example after example after example. He gave Krishna prema to bad people, offenders, and and other unfortunate, Vasudeva the leper and so forth. So he's that kind of a personality. But he gave Krishna Prema. And he's the giver of the holy name that also bestows, at least the potential is there to bestow Krishna Prema. So very special for us. You have something? Do we have a second microphone?
Hare Krishna.
Congratulations, you figured out what button to push.
The question I have is about the vision or the scene that Mother Yashoda saw in Krishna's mouth.
Yeah.
So the preamble to this is that, whenever I read Bhagavatam and there are descriptions of creation and, those steps, and it's mind-boggling. And so I read them, but
You generally
With-
skip over them quickly, right?
no, with the understanding that I may not understand right now. Maybe it'll happen sometime in the future. But, in this pastime, we see that the Aishwarya and Madhurya are so intertwined. And do we need to understand this Aishwarya to appreciate the Madhurya in one sense, the sweetness of the Lord, or the opulence of the Lord? Is it necessary to understand it fully?
I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking, is it essential? Is it imperative? How important is it that we understand all this Aishwarya stuff in order to really have love for Krishna? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes? Well, no, a qualified no, but yes, or qualified yes. There's not a clear-cut yes or no. That is to say, something we're going to be hearing over the 4th of July holiday, Festival of the Holy Name, is some teachings by Sanatana Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami on the chanting of the holy name from Hari Bhakti Vilas. And one of the things that they write, or we could say Sanatana Goswami writes, is it's important to meditate on the meaning of the name and the value or the gift of the name when it bestows in the course of chanting. So that's the Aishwarya feature and Madhurya feature. But it's enjoined by Sanatana Goswami, one should meditate on or hold that in your consciousness, which you'll go back to your question. How important is it? The details and details and details are mind-boggling. And my hard drive doesn't compute all that stuff. And perhaps yours also. And so I go, and then keep going, because I can't process it all. It's just, I get into it to some degree, but then it doesn't stick. Then I have to go back and review it, and to some degree I can remember some of it that I did the first time. So, but the principle is, the greatness, the Aishwarya feature of Krishna and the process of creation, because there are 10 topics in the Bhagavatam, and 2 of the 10 topics are Sarga and Visarga. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of verses, a lot of detail. How important is it? Which is kind of what you're asking. To understand Krishna, do you have to know all that stuff? You have to hold it in your hard drive? In your mind, you're just okay. I don't. Our acharyas do. So to become acharya, what do you do if you're just a little person that's not so gifted like they are. In principle, the splendor and the munificence, the mightiness, the unlimitedness of the Almighty, that's much. And to do what he does, he worked through his potencies. He's the cause of all causes, sarva karna karnam. And then there's details of the causation and effect of that cause, and then that becomes the cause of the next effect. And so everything unfolds and displays because of the cause of all causes. That much we should understand. And exactly the push and pull, the technology, this causes that effect, causes that effect, causes that effect. And then this name, and then there's different names, there's subsets of this one. It's not exactly, so it's not imperative to understand, which I think is what your question is. Specifically the Aishvarya feature with all the nomenclature of all these things. But Sankhya is fundamental. It's in Bhagavad Gita. It's in the Bhagavatam. And there's a reason. So it's important, how important, that in order to reach the goal of knowing Krishna, loving Krishna. So at least a ballpark understanding, a generic understanding, enough so that there's bhakti becomes awakened. That's the main thing. Not jnana vairagya, but yukta vairagya. And as you're engaging in stuff, the creation, the majesty of creation, you have some sense of what's behind it. At least, there's a cause of all causes, and he's behind it. We'll say it the other way. If I don't have that understanding, then there's ritual, and I may be doing a ritual without really understanding what it's all about. Specifically in Hari Bhakti Vilas, the teaching, because we're going to be talking about it over the weekend, the glories of the holy name, what the meaning is, and what the value or merit or the glory of the holy name. And because the other glories, the Aishvarya glories, are resting upon Krishna. So then you go to those Aishvaryas are resting upon his form, his qualities, his pastimes, his name. So at least understand that connection without necessarily all the details. The connection of all things with the source. That much. You have something further.
One more thing. In this particular pastime,
In the which pastimes?
this where she sees the universe in his mouth, is there any reason, is there any explanation behind the significance of what she saw? Like, why did she see those specific, for example, it says she saw senses and karma and delineate so many other things. Is there a significance to this?
The significance is what I just said. So I'll say it again. All those things, she saw the things. Now, I didn't read it, but Jiva Goswami drills and says she saw invisible things. Because his explanation is he saw the presiding deities of those invisible things beyond the senses to perceive. He saw the presiding deity. She saw. So the significance, if I've understood your question correctly, the significance of the pastime is she's a pure devotee. She's a perfect soul, perfect individual. So knowledge is revealed to a perfect individual on the strength of bhakti. So that knowledge is revealed. That's the significance as I understand it. She was qualified, so he's showing her the qualified one. That which can't be seen ordinarily is not seen ordinarily. She saw, she experienced. And to where is this coming from, she didn't know. But she said about, so at the end, she's offering her prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because she's a devotee. She's just not seeing Krishna as a devotee, but she's seeing those things. So the truths are revealed to devotees. So why did Krishna choose? Is there a significance that he chose to show invisible things to Mother Yashoda? Behind everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, confirming her bhakti. So supposing somebody else has a different experience, she had her experience. Supposing somebody else has a different experience. Somebody has this, let's just say, some reciprocation of the curtain of Maya is drawn back and there's some exchange with the deity. And then the curtain closes. For example. It's just confirmation of what they already know. So how important is it? It's just confirmation. So she's a devotee of the Supreme Lord, who happens to be her son, but she's not seeing that. She's devotee of the Supreme Lord. Pure bhakti. So Aishvarya is being revealed to her that ordinary people don't have the opportunity to receive. And it doesn't faze her at all. I mean, ultimately, temporarily. It phases her in terms of stimulating her parental affection. Maternal affection. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki. Right.